I stayed by my wife's side through her illness, only for her to leave me for my boss. I don't know what I'm looking for, maybe closure, maybe a place to scream into the void. All I know is that after everything I gave, everything I sacrificed, I ended up more alone than ever. My, now ex-wife, Lauren, and I were married for 7 years. We met in college. She was bold, intelligent, stunning, and I fell hard. We moved in together right after graduation, got married a year later, and things were great, until they weren't. About 2 years ago, Lauren started feeling fatigued, constantly sick. After months of doctors and tests, she was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, not fatal, but chronic and debilitating. It changed our lives overnight. I became her caregiver. I drove her to appointments, sat in hospital waiting rooms for hours, researched treatments, adjusted our diets, and worked overtime to cover her medical bills. I never once complained. I loved her. I was committed. I thought she appreciated that. At the same time, work was becoming more demanding. My boss, Richard, had recently been promoted and was pushing everyone harder. I was putting in 60-hour weeks just to stay afloat, and I'd still come home and take care of Lauren. I barely slept. But somehow, I kept it together. She started to get better after about a year on a new treatment. Her energy came back slowly. She started smiling again. I was relieved, finally, maybe we could get our life back. And then things got weird. She stopped talking to me as much. She started spending hours on her phone or laptop, shutting it quickly when I walked into the room. When I asked what she was doing, she brushed it off with, just catching up on news, or texting a friend. She stopped being affectionate. No more I love yous. No more goodnight kisses. At first, I thought it was just the aftershocks of the illness. Maybe she was still adjusting. I gave her space. One night I came home late from work, exhausted and hungry. She wasn't there. Her car was gone. I waited. An hour passed. Then 2. I called, no answer. Finally, around 11 p.m., she walked in like nothing was wrong. "Where were you?" I asked. "Out," she said simply. "With who?" "A friend." I knew something was off. But I didn't want to push. I didn't want to be the controlling husband. I told myself I was overthinking. Then came the punch to the gut. One of my coworkers, someone I barely even talked to, pulled me aside at work and said, "Hey man, I don't know how to say this, but I saw your wife with Richard. At that wine bar downtown. They were close." At first, I laughed. No way. My wife? With my boss? The guy who I literally worked weekends for, who I'd missed holidays to please. But I couldn't ignore it. I started paying attention. She started dressing up more when she went out with friends. I checked our shared credit card. Dinner charges at fancy places I'd never even been to. Ubers to and from addresses nowhere near her usual spots. The final blow came when I got home early from work one day. I'd been feeling sick and left after a morning meeting. When I walked in, there was laughter coming from our kitchen. I froze. It was Lauren. And Richard. He was standing in my kitchen, laughing with her like they owned the place. She didn't even look guilty, just surprised. "Oh," she said. "You're home early." That's it. That's all she said. Richard had the audacity to nod at me and say, "Hey, man. Like this wasn't insane." I didn't say a word. I turned around, walked out, and drove. I don't even remember where I went. I ended up at a motel for the night, staring at the ceiling until dawn. Later that day, I got a text from her. "I'm sorry you had to find out this way. We didn't mean for this to happen, but I think it's time we both admit we've changed." I've changed. Changed. I gave up my social life, my sleep, my health to take care of her. I was there when she cried herself to sleep. I held her hair back when she threw up. I kissed her forehead after every injection. She said she changed. A week later, she moved out. She's staying with him now. And the cherry on top. I was laid off 2 weeks later. Budget cuts, they said. No warning. Just gone. I know it was Richard. No one else was let go from my department. Just me. So here I am. Unemployed. Divorced. Alone in a one-bedroom apartment with peeling paint and a leaky faucet. I don't even know who I am anymore. I still have her favorite mug. I don't know why I haven't thrown it out. I guess I keep hoping this was a nightmare and I'll wake up. But I won't. Because the worst part isn't that she cheated. It's that she waited until I helped her heal, until I gave her everything, and then left. For him. She left me for my boss after I helped her heal, but life wasn't done with me yet. It's been 8 months since Lauren left. 8 months since I came home early and found her laughing in our kitchen with my boss, the man I worked myself into the ground for. The man who I'd once admired, even respected. Now. He's the face that haunts my most bitter nightmares. When she left, it felt like gravity had stopped working. Nothing had weight anymore. I didn't eat. I barely slept. I'd stare at the wall for hours wondering how it all turned into ash so quickly. I thought I was a good man. I tried to be. But apparently, that meant nothing. Getting laid off was a second blow that came with almost comedic timing. Of course Richard found a way to erase me completely, both from my job and my own marriage. There was no company-wide announcement, no HR meeting. Just a cold email and a generic, budget cuts reason from someone I'd never even met. I spent the next 2 months spiraling. At first, I told no one. I was too ashamed. My parents thought Lauren and I were taking space, and that I'd left my job to find something with more work-life balance. I didn't correct them. I didn't want to see the disappointment in their eyes. I couldn't face the pity. I drank too much. Slept during the day. Watched the ceiling at night. I ignored calls from friends, stopped checking my email, let the bills pile up. I just didn't care. It wasn't about Lauren anymore, it was about the weight in my chest, like a dying star had taken up residence where my heart used to be. But then something shifted. It started with a box. I was finally going through the storage closet, trying to find some papers for my taxes, when I found one of Lauren's old notebooks. She used to write in it when she was sick, journal entries, poems, dreams. I wasn't supposed to read it, but I did. Inside, I found pages of gratitude. Of love. She wrote about how safe she felt with me. How she didn't deserve someone so patient. How she hated herself for being so dependent. One line broke me. If I ever lose him, it'll be my fault. That's when I finally broke down and cried, really cried, not out of self-pity, but for the us that once was. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining the love. It had been there. It was real. But something inside her had changed. Or maybe something inside me had broken long before I noticed. Either way, I knew I had to start climbing out of the pit I was in. The first step was painful. I sold the apartment. It was the place we built together, but every room was haunted. The kitchen where she and Richard stood, laughing. The bed where she used to cry, and I used to hold her. I couldn't breathe there anymore. I packed everything I owned into a storage unit and rented a tiny studio across town. No memories there. Just blank walls and silence. I also started therapy. I was hesitant at first, but it was either talk or drown. My therapist, Karen, was blunt. On our first session, she asked me, "Do you want to heal, or do you want to be the victim forever?" That hit hard. I'd been clinging to my pain like it was the last piece of her I had left. But she was gone. She had made her choice. The only one still bleeding was me. So I started doing the work. Slowly. I reconnected with old friends. I told my parents the truth, the whole truth. To my surprise, they didn't judge me. They were just sad I'd carried it alone. I even bumped into my college buddy Tom at a grocery store. We got coffee the next day. Then again the next week. Turned out, he'd gone through a messy divorce too. We laughed about how romance turns to courtroom drama faster than you'd expect. Then came the unexpected twist. One day, I got a call from a blocked number. Normally I wouldn't answer, but something told me to. It was Richard's wife. I didn't even know he was married. Her name was Sylvia. She was composed, icy, and clearly holding back rage. "I think we should talk," she said. "In person." We met at a quiet cafe. She wore sunglasses, even indoors, like she didn't want the world to see her anger. She slid a manila envelope across the table. "Proof," she said. "Of the affair. Of how long it's been going on. I figured if I'm going to take half his life in court, you might as well take the rest." Inside were photos. Screenshots. Emails. Dates. I scanned them, my stomach turning. The affair had started months before Lauren even began to heal. Before I ever suspected. They were together while I was giving her injections. Sylvia's hands trembled as she sipped her coffee. He said it was just emotional. That I was paranoid. That I needed therapy. I laughed bitterly. Lauren said she just changed. She shook her head. They deserve each other. We kept in touch after that. Not romantically, just two survivors in the same wreckage. We shared updates. When the divorce hearing started, she told me everything. Apparently, Richard was already cheating on Lauren. With his secretary. I shouldn't have felt vindicated, but I did. The universe wasn't done with either of them. Finding a new purpose. About 6 months after the breakup, I started writing again. I hadn't touched my old blog in years, but suddenly, the words came pouring out. At first, it was angry essays about betrayal. Then it was stories, fictionalized versions of what happened to me, shaped into characters and dialogue. People started reading. Commenting. Sharing. I got emails from strangers saying, "Thank you." I thought I was the only one. Eventually, a small indie publication picked up one of my essays. Then another. Then a podcast invited me on to talk about heartbreak and rebuilding. Somehow, my pain had turned into purpose. And then, maybe the most surprising part, I met someone. Her name was Elise. We met at a bookstore during a reading event. I wasn't looking for love. Hell, I barely believed in it anymore. But she was kind. Sharp. Funny. And above all, patient. She never asked me to be okay. She just sat with me while I figured it out. It's still early. I'm still healing. But for the first time in a long time, I'm not haunted when I wake up. One last thing. I heard Lauren's life hasn't been going great. She and Richard broke up a few months after she moved in. She tried reaching out, once. Just a single message. I messed up. I don't expect forgiveness. But I wanted you to know that you didn't deserve any of it. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Because I'm no longer looking back. Some scars stay. Some nights still ache. But I'm building something new now. And that's more than I ever thought I'd be able to say. I thought I was free from my ex and my old life, then they came crashing back. You ever feel like your life is finally settling, just for the past to come knocking like a drunk guest at 2 a.m., demanding to be let back in? That was me. After nearly a year of pain, therapy, writing, and the slow, clumsy steps of healing, I started feeling normal again. I had a new apartment. A new freelance career as a writer and consultant. And, something I didn't think I'd say again, a new relationship. Elise and I were growing closer. We cooked together. She left books on my nightstand, and I left bad puns in her inbox. She didn't try to fix me. She just let me be broken until I wasn't. But the past doesn't always stay buried. Not when it's as rotten as mine. It started with an invitation I should have ignored. One of my old co-workers, Jared, texted me in March. We hadn't spoken in nearly a year. Hey, man. Crazy stuff. Richard stepping down. Some internal scandal. There's a farewell party. You should come. I stared at my phone. Why the hell would I go? I told him no. Obviously. But that night, curiosity gnawed at me like termites in my ribs. What kind of scandal? Was it about me? Was it karma finally cashing the check? A few days later, Sylvia texted me. Guess who just got fired for sleeping with a junior employee and misusing company funds? Richard. She followed it up with a photo of him walking out of the building looking like a dog that peed on the carpet and knew it. Part of me laughed. Another part, the dark one, wanted to see it. Not just in photos. In person. The downfall. So, stupidly, I went to the farewell party. The room was a bomb waiting to explode. It was hosted in one of those sleek hotel lounges downtown, with free wine and fake smiles. I wore my best shirt. I wasn't there to blend in, I was there to be seen. The moment I walked in, Richard's expression soured. He tried to play it cool, but I could tell. His eyes flickered to me like I was a ghost he thought he'd buried. Lauren was there too. She looked thinner. Not in the glowing way. In the tired way. Her skin was pale. She looked like someone running on regret and cheap hope. We didn't talk for the first hour. I stayed near the bar, chatting with old colleagues, being casual. Acting like I wasn't bracing for impact every second. Then she approached me. The conversation that nearly undid me. Hey, she said. Just that. Soft. Hesitant. I turned to face her. Her hands were shaking slightly. Hi. She looked like she had rehearsed a speech 100 times and forgotten all of it. You look good, she said, eyes scanning me. Better. I am. A pause. Her lips pressed together. I don't know if I have the right to say this, but I'm sorry. Again. For everything. I know, I said. I think about it all the time, she continued. How I ruined the one good thing I had. I kept waiting to stop feeling guilty, but I don't. I never stopped missing what we had. It was strange. A year ago, I would have clung to those words like a lifeline. I would have hoped. Burned. Bargained. But now. I just felt sad. Not for me. For her. Lauren, I said gently, you made your choice. And so did I. We're not the same people anymore. Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't offer comfort. That part of me, the fixer, the forgiver, was gone. I hope you find peace, I said. But it's not going to be with me. She nodded, swallowing her pain. Then she walked away. It should have felt triumphant. Instead, it felt like the final page of a sad chapter. But the night wasn't done with me yet. I was about to leave when Richard cornered me. I thought you'd crawl back to obscurity, he said, trying to smirk. I just blinked. You thought wrong. You don't get to pretend you're better than me, he snapped. You act like some noble victim, but you were just as blind as anyone else. You're right, I said. I was blind. But I woke up. You're still sleepwalking through trash fires. He lunged closer. You think this is over? You want to play moral warrior while riding some pity wave from your sob stories? I leaned in. Calm. No. I just want you to remember something. What? You lost everything trying to take what was mine. And now you don't even have her. His jaw twitched. And I walked away. That was the last time I saw him. Life moves on, whether you're ready or not. The months after that were strangely light. Like some toxic fog had lifted. Elise and I grew closer. We went on a trip to the mountains. Hiked. Talked. Kissed under stars. I opened up about Lauren. About everything. She listened. She never judged. We moved in together in May. I was scared, I won't lie. After everything with Lauren, committing again felt like stepping onto thin ice. But Elise never asked me to be perfect. She just asked me to try. And I did. Until the past reached out one more time. One summer evening, Elise got home before me and found an envelope taped to the door. Inside was a photo. Me and Lauren. From years ago. Smiling on a beach. No note. No explanation. Just a postmark from our old city. I told Elise everything. She sat in silence for a moment, then said. She's not in your life anymore. But you still let her live in your mind. She wasn't accusing. Just observing. She was right. So I wrote Lauren one final message. Don't reach out again. We've said everything there is to say. I wish you peace, but I'm done looking backward. I blocked her number. For good. Now. I'm not fixed. But I'm free. I still have moments where I wake up and expect to feel the same crushing weight. But I don't. Now I write full-time. I help others tell their stories. I speak at events about recovery and self-worth. My pain became my path. And Elise? She makes me believe in second chances, not with others, but with myself. There's a photo of us on my desk. We're holding mugs, laughing about something stupid. My eyes aren't hollow anymore. Hers glow. Sometimes life doesn't give you justice in the way you expect. Sometimes the best revenge is living a life so full, so honest, so real, that no one who betrayed you could ever understand it. I lost everything. But I found me.